Hello and welcome to the NextPlay Spoilercast, a series where we talk about your favorite video games and films in full spoiler territory. Today, we are talking about the second episode of HBO's The Last of Us Season 2, titled Through the Valley. I'm your host, Brad, and joining me today is Jamie
Hello.
and Berto.
Hey,
We've got a lot to unpack in this episode, but without diving into specifics, how did you feel about the episode overall? Jamie.
I thought it was really strong. I think I said before the pod, I'd probably give it a 9. I think they delivered on a lot of things. We were talking about how it doesn't look like it's been review bombed or anything, which means it's been received well. Means that they delivered it better than what I think the game did. And I think that's with those additional scenes from both this episode and the last. So I think it turned out as well as it could be.
I really, I wouldn't say it did it better than the game, but I did like the aspects that it added to that scene. And just this episode in general, there was a lot of new things added that didn't happen in the game, and I was very happy with all of it, I think. Berto, what about you?
yeah, forgive me if I cough a bit because I'm just getting over my illness. But overall, I thought it was great. I think if I were to give it a rating on our scale, I'd give it a solid 8.5 maybe. Love the new elements, the action set pieces, very reminiscent of Game of Thrones a bit.
Mm.
Excuse me. And obviously, the very we'll talk about Joel and everything that happened with that, but I thought it was done really well. And the reason I thought it was done really well is because it made me feel the same way that I felt when I played through it, which was angry. Um, yeah,
Mm.
so we'll unpack it more as we get through it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get straight into it. Jamie, I think you called this in the last episode. We do start the episode off with Abby's hospital flashback scene. We see Abby dreaming about that awful experience and her having a conversation with her younger self during that moment. Pretty standard. I don't think they had her talking to herself in the game, but
No.
I
No,
guess it was like a good little addition to like see where she's at in her head in that moment, plus 5 years later when she's still thinking about it. Abby wakes up and sees Owen on watch before discovering that Jackson is actually a major settlement and not just a small campsite with a few tents. They decide to come up with a new plan now that they know what they're dealing with, and Abby suggests kidnapping a patrol and making them tell them Joel's location. And like, we'll talk about her group probably later in this spoiler cast, but we do see Mel kind of not like pushing back, but like that. I feel like they're trying to get people to like Mel because she seems more like emotional and like empathetic to everyone. She's like trying not to get anyone else hurt other than Joel. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they develop any of the other characters in that group a lot more than they did in the game.
I think they're trying. You're right.
Yeah, it
I hope
does
they
look
do.
like
Yeah.
it. Mm. Owen says he has an idea for a new plan, and once Abby leaves the lodge and goes out on watch, reveals to the rest of the group that his plan is to just return to Seattle and that they'll all be dead if they try and go on this revenge hunt. Pretty fair, I think, to say. Like, on paper, they wouldn't ever have like the capacity to breach Jackson with just the four of them. So,
I like this addition. Tries to
mm,
as you said, humanize that group.
mm,
And if they keep doing that throughout the episodes, like maybe we keep checking in with them, leading up with everything else that's happening at the same time with Ellie, I think could make them a lot more memorable than say what they are in the game. So yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. Back in Jackson, it's 7:30 in the morning, and Jesse has come to pick up Ellie for the 8 a.m. patrol. Ellie ends up telling Jesse that Dina kissed her, and he jokes around saying that they only broke up a week ago and that that's fucked up, though, which I thought was funny. On the way to the patrol, Ellie says she wants to do her patrol with Joel, which prompts Jesse to question Joel and Ellie's relationship to Ellie. And Ellie goes on a bit of a tangent and says it's complicated, specifically saying, I'm still me, he's still Joel, and nothing's ever gonna change that ever. Which, that wasn't in the game either, was it?
I don't recall the missus when I watched it with her. She was like,
Mm,
it almost like Ellie let down her guard for a second, like she was going to explain her true feelings that she had about Joel, but then
yeah.
reeled it in at the last moment, which I thought was a nice little touch. So obviously, if those who have played the games, it's a very important scene that we get very late in the game between Joel and Ellie. I wasn't sure if they were still going to go that direction after the first
Mm,
episode. Seems like they will,
yeah.
and yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole game. So I'm glad we are heading down that direction.
And unfortunately for Ellie, he's already left for his patrol with Dina. Jesse and Ellie head to a town meeting where Tommy goes over the town's emergency procedures, which is very lucky that they did that day. Like, yeah, like we kind of knew there was, we knew there was gonna be like some sort of breach. And like just to see this at the start of the episode, it was like, oh, okay. That's very like on the nose.
Tommy's got good instincts.
He does. He does. Maria takes Ellie over to the kitchen where Seth apologizes for his behavior last night, and he gives her some food to take on the patrol. I liked this scene especially because like Ellie was like not really taking the apology very seriously at all. I think she said like, "Oh yeah, drunk people never tell what's normally on their mind."
Yeah, just drunk people always say something that they've never thought before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, still an important scene to happen. I don't think we ever saw Seth during the infected takeover. Correct? Did we? I felt
no, I don't.
maybe
I don't
we
think
did.
so.
No,
I
I
can't
don't think
recall
so.
seeing him. No.
Maybe he was still cooking something.
Yeah, well, he had sandwiches to make, so he was pretty busy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Back in the mountains, we see Abby looking down at Jackson before spotting Joel and Dina on horseback in the distance.
Hmm.
So, do we want to like pause here for a moment and like discuss that it was Joel and Tommy originally together in the game?
Yeah.
And Ellie was with Dina.
Mhm.
Why do we think they've swapped that up? Any thoughts? Has anyone thought about that since they watched it?
I think in the podcast last week, because I was referencing the Here's to Come trailer, and I was
Mm,
like, oh, it seemed like Tommy was going to be busy, and I think that
mm,
almost it's a nice different twist on what motivates Tommy to do what he's going to do coming in the next couple of episodes. Of he wasn't even there. He
mm.
just I'm not sure if anyone's seen the trailer for episode 3. He's just crying next to the body. So it gives a nice little twist where we're still heading in the same direction, I assume. But it's just like he's not even there, and he sort of blames himself for it. So it adds just sort of a different sort of flavor to what Tommy's going through. So I like the change.
I liked it too,
Yeah.
and it also gives like Dina a reason to be more involved in the revenge story because she was like I know she wasn't awake for any of it, but like she was there. So,
Mm.
and also we did discuss last week that like it did seem like they were trying to like push that narrative that Joel and Dina have a closer relationship than what they may have had in the video games too. What about you, Berto?
I think I liked it this way better. I think it's also to
Mm,
show the leadership of name again. I forgot. I'm so tired.
Tommy, Joel,
Tommy. Tommy.
Tommy.
I think it's just to show his leadership, and obviously, from a character point of view, you're going to be a little bit more involved with that
Mm,
because obviously it's all about revenge, right? So I think from a viewing point of view, it makes a little bit more sense.
mm.
And also with Dina, I think it makes a lot more sense too that she was present. But
Yeah,
yeah,
she's she's like definitely getting maybe the best out of this adaptation overall. Although I do think we'll talk about Abby and Caitlin Diva later, but I think Abby is getting a good showing in this too. I think people are hating her less than they did with the game.
I also think for people who haven't played the games, like we only got a glimpse of Tommy in season one, so it shows how much of a
Mm,
badass he is, which again emphasizes the damage that he does when he's heading to Seattle. So it lets everyone know that he's just as vicious and much of a powerhouse as Joel is, which I think is good for viewers to understand.
mm, yeah. So there has been a snowstorm that was brewing all morning, and it's getting worse. And all of the morning patrols are recalled back to Jackson or seek shelter if they are too far away. Ellie and Jesse seek shelter in a nearby building, one that was owned by Gail's late husband, Eugene the Firefly. So Ellie and Jesse do like have a bit of a moment discussing Eugene. I think he was a Vietnam veteran. I can't remember if they discussed like what the circumstances around Joel killing him was. Was he bitten? Maybe.
I think it was implied, or something had
Yeah.
happened enough that he
Where
needed to be
yeah,
killed.
they
Yeah.
specifically said like he had to die or something. So
Yeah, I,
yeah.
I remember even Gail said something similar in episode one of just like, oh, I understand why it needed to be done, but that doesn't mean I don't hate you for it. So
Mm,
it's implied, I would say, but we'll see.
yeah. So back in the mountains, Abby slides down a massive snow slope into a field of frozen infected. They all become alert of Abby and chase her to a warehouse where we get the iconic metal fence scene where she gets overrun by hundreds and hundreds of infected. Um,
Hmm.
she does pull out of that fence scene and closer to where she thinks is freedom, but she does end up getting pinned down by an infected, and none other than Joel Miller comes to save the day by shooting it in the head and taking Abby to some shelter where Dina is. Pretty faithful to the game. I think they did this scene very well, maybe even better
Very.
than the game,
Mhm.
especially when the infected was like clawing through the cage and the wire was going through its hand.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
a bit gross, but like
that was a
very
nice
cool.
touch.
Yeah. It doesn't take long for Abby to realize it was a Joel that saved her as Dina yells his name out once the three are united inside. So you can see the like look of like almost shock
Mhm.
that by
Good
chance
timing, eh?
she's run into him and that he saved her as well, which doesn't really matter in the end, but um,
Yeah.
yeah. So back in Jackson, Tommy is in the radio control room and learns that everyone has made contact with Jackson except for Joel and Dina. So he yells through the radio, being like, Joel, answer the goddamn radio. I don't think it's ever explained why there was no connection between the radio and walkie-talkies. Maybe it was the snowstorm. Who knows?
Snowstorm. Yeah,
Yeah.
heavily implied.
Jackson radios Jesse and Ellie asking if they've seen Joel and Dina on their patrol, which quickly prompts them to get back on their horses to search for them.
It's a
Joel,
really cool
Dina,
scene
and
too. Like with
yeah,
the, you could see the amount of people chasing him and everything like that. I think the
mm,
snowstorm scenes were really well made. Like they were
mm,
quite claustrophobic, very tense, turned from light to dark very quickly. The
yeah,
palette of colors, even from the beginning of the episode to the end. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, like you could tell the budget's just gone up.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. We have like what, probably 5,000 infected in the first two
Yeah.
episodes, and we probably
It's
only had
crazy.
like 50, maybe a
Uh,
little bit more in season one.
Yeah, if you cut out that one episode with that city getting overrun, there's like maybe 6 in all the
that's
other
it. Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Joel, Dina, and Abby head towards the lodge after being overrun by infected, with a large herd chasing them down the mountain. The herd eventually turns its way towards Jackson, thanks to the cordyceps found in the blocked pipes of the town. Jamie?
I just wanted to quickly mention, I really liked how it emphasizes, like, despite how chaotic everything was, Abby heard Joel, and then she straight away is smart enough to go, oh, come to the lodge. And like, she lied
Mm,
flat out of like, oh, we'll come fight for you. But like,
yeah.
just that sense of being able to intelligently know this is who I want. Let's get him where I want him to be. So I think that really just emphasizes how smart of a character she is. I think that was
Mm,
nice. I think the way it was just like a switch went off and she's like, I'm going to use this to my advantage.
yeah. And it, like, so, like, when you retrospectively think back on, like, Joel's death, it's always like, oh, if he didn't save Abby, he would be alive, or such and such. And like how they were on the horses on the mountain overlooking Jackson, and Joel's like, we need to go, we need to go, they're in trouble. Abby still convinces him again to go back to the lodge. Like, there's so many instances where it could be like a, what if that didn't happen and then Joel would have lived? But yeah, it just, I don't know, it makes it more painful when you think of how many different choices Joel could have made to still be alive.
And I did see one take because, there's that scene where he's looking down and he's seeing Jackson sort of in flames. I know we're
Mm,
touching on that in a second, but someone pointed out, like, oh, in his head, like he passes away at the end thinking Jackson's gone. He's lost his brother. He sees Ellie there. He doesn't know if she's going to survive. And he's just sort
yeah,
of hammers home just how heartbreaking it is that the state of mind that Joel was in right at the end.
yeah.
Damn.
The only saving grace, I know we're skipping a bit now, the only saving
Yes,
grace
sorry.
is that he knew Ellie loved him still. Like, well, he could probably get the sense of that. Because, like, yeah, we'll talk about it soon. Um, Jackson is now under attack by hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of infected. There was a lot. Um, there was explosions, oil drums, all that. Really good shit. Loved it. Um, a bloater breaches Jackson's perimeter, and the infected make their way into town, ripping apart anyone in their way except Tommy and Maria, um, which Jamie and I, and yeah, we will talk about that shortly. Um,
Yes.
in a very tense scene, Tommy leads the bloater into a dead end and kills the bloater with his flamethrower just as he ran out of ammo. Love that. I actually did like that scene though. It was really cool. But yeah, back to Tommy and Maria. Berto, we were talking before the
Yeah.
podcast, and we
Yep.
were like, wow, the plot armor that Tommy and Maria had, where all the infected just kept running past them for no reason.
Yep.
It was probably the only thing I didn't like about this episode. It was like you couldn't tell, like they were obviously infected, but like I don't know, what are they meant to like blend in with like the residents too, just running away? Yeah, it was a bit confusing, like
I
how,
think
yeah.
I don't know. Like I loved this whole scene. It was obviously
Mm,
the one that everyone will be advertising to see. Look how cool these effects are and everything else like that. I think it's a lot of fun, so to speak. But yeah, you're right. There is a lot of like, how did they get all that ammo? How much ammo
mm,
did they have left? How big was the town before to after? Like, seems like this attack hurt everyone, obviously, and it's meant to, but to what end? Really,
yeah,
like we don't really see the town in the game after this point at all, right? From memory. Um,
No.
not really.
so it was like it was a weird thing, like you're right, like you two saying plot armor. I think a lot of this episode was a lot about being there at the right time by pure
Mm,
coincidence. Everyone, really, when you think about it.
yeah,
Um, but just the way that it was made, I got to shout out. It was awesome. It was tense. It was violent. It was a lot of fun. The dogs coming out at the end and just
yeah,
ripping all of them to shreds. Yeah, it was awesome. But again, like you guys said, like it was quite convenient that they managed to survive everything.
yeah. And like I did love this scene. Like it was one of my favorite scenes of the episode. Um, I was like giggling a bit when I was watching. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's objectively like the whole scale of it was
Mm,
like the scale and I watched the inside of the episode, which I definitely recommend people go and watch. So it's just like a 10
Mm,
minute clip. How much effort they went to building so much of that Jackson. Like they were talking about, you can
yeah.
go into the places, go up to the second floor, and it shows. Like you can do a lot with CG, but when it practical is done right, it's brilliant. And I think you feel that in this whole scene, and it just adds to the scale of the whole thing. It's an
mm,
objectively fantastic scene. But
yeah.
yes, I did see it was just like the infected just mowing down absolutely everybody, but they have no interest in Tommy. Only the bloater does.
I mean,
And he
it's
like
just
gets its attention by like shooting at heaps because he was
yeah.
randomly the bloater's the only one gunning for Maria, and it's funny. It is funny in the way like we know he was going to survive from it, but
Yeah.
it makes Tommy look like a complete badass. Like he
Mm,
Oh
single
man,
handedly took it down, and this was a bloater that was ripping people to shreds in season one. So fantastic scene, but yeah, I did get a lot of vibes of the Battle for Winterfell in the final season of Game of
it
Thrones,
felt
where
it felt a lot like that.
yeah,
mm,
like
A lot.
everyone, it's instead of like the 5, 6 main characters that we know, they're fine, but like everyone else is dying. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, but yeah, I can't help but laugh of just how they got away from all the infected.
yeah, it was just like classic like TV
Yeah.
magic.
Still great though.
Yeah. So yeah, the siege's over. Joel, Dina, and Abby have made it back to the lodge where Dina and Joel are introduced to Abby's friends. Abby wastes no time introducing Joel to her friends and asks Mel to sedate Dina, otherwise, she'll smash Dina in the head. And this is definitely the point where we actually see just how angry Abby is. Like, she was willing to, yeah, smash Dina in the head too. So, I mean, I guess with like Joel right in front of her, like it's reopened that wound that I I mean that wound wasn't really healed or closed at all, but like it's fresh again. After Abby confirms it's the Joel she's looking for, Abby shoots Joel in the leg with a shotgun and eventually reveals to him that he killed her unarmed father in the head. We then see her glance over at the bag of golf clubs. Hated it. I hate this scene. Meanwhile, Ellie is closing in on the lodge while Abby repeatedly punches Joel in the head, with an emotional and crying Mel in the foreground of the shot. Like, they're all just, well, not all of them. I think Manny's looking directly at it, but you can see Owen just looking at the ground while that's happening too. You could tell
They
like
allow it to
half of,
happen.
yeah, and half of them are like over it. They're just like, just do it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I like how they played up Mel though, like from the game. She's the one who's like almost she's definitely the one that's most affected by it. She sort
Yeah.
of almost separates herself from the rest of them, especially Abby in particular.
Mm.
Because they do mention it in the game about like everyone sort of changed after that, what had
Yeah.
happened at Jackson. So um, again, it's just a little plot points that just sort of developing these characters a little bit because they just became sort of checklists for Ellie to kill along the way. But yeah, if we get scenes with them laced throughout this season, I think it could really do some interesting stuff with the plot.
Yeah. So now Ellie barges into the room, and if you've played the video games or watched the episode, which I'm guessing you've done one of them, you know how this scene goes. It's pretty faithful to the video game, but there are a few new additions.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think, is Joel just like hit with a heavy blow in the game? He's not impaled, is he? Well, it's off
No,
camera though, too. And I don't remember the golf club being broken
I
in
don't
the
think
game.
it's. Yeah, I don't think he takes the stick like that. I think he
Oh,
just
definitely
gets.
not.
Yeah, just too many hits, and then the last one not breaks, but breaks him
Mm.
from memory. That's the way I remember it. And
Yeah,
and I don't believe she ever punched him in the game either. I think that was more
no,
personal.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Joel's, like, the brutality on Joel is done off camera in the game,
Mm.
whereas they've decided to show a little bit more here. But yeah, we also, like, after he gets impaled and they leave, we do see Ellie crawl over to Joel as well, which, yeah, also wasn't in the game, but yeah, very
It
emotional.
was beautiful. Yeah,
It
it's great.
was. And
I
then,
also
yeah.
not only the cinematography, like when they zoom in on Joel, you've got the screenshot here, where you see his watch as well, and just circling back all the way to episode one, the cinematography in this was brilliant, and just you can see when Ellie is just pleading. It's a fantastic performance by Bella Ramsey. I think she was fantastic in this scene
Yeah.
because all the bravado and everything of Ellie goes, and it's just grief because she knows she can't do anything, and she's just like begging him to get up. And then like props to Pedro as well. I'm sure like you see him put all his strength just to lift himself off the ground just like a centimeter, and then he just gives out. And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is heart wrenching stuff. But I think it was done. It was really like brutal to see in real life. But yeah, I think the performances were great across the board in this.
Yeah.
Excuse
Like
me.
when Ellie was like, Joel, get up. And then he like got up like a centimeter. I was like, oh,
And her
stop
voice
it.
is breaking during it. It's like it's
Yeah.
not the Ellie that we've seen over the episode and like 3/4 of like that attitude, that real gruffness. It's just all shed away as she knows she just can't do a single thing to stop what's going to happen.
Mm. I think
Yeah.
I personally thought it was great. The lead up, obviously, after seeing that huge, bonanza and excitement of the what do you call it? Of the
Jackson,
raid. But
yeah,
like,
Mm.
yeah, I keep forgetting names. It's really bad. But no,
so,
when it came to
culminate.
this, what I felt was when I was playing the game is I felt exactly what um, Ellie did, was I wanted them all to die. I wanted them all to suffer. I didn't really
Mm.
care about Mel and them trying to humanize her, like, oh, look at her, she's looking away. It's like, no, she's gone down too. So, like, I had that when I played the game. I was like, I wanted revenge on everyone. That's what I wanted.
Mm.
And when I watched this, I was like, yep, I remember why I hate you all. This is why I
Mm.
want. This is what I want. So I think, from my perspective, with the same feeling that I had this time around, it mimicked it almost similar. But the worst part is that we all know how it ends. So it's like we get some form of end, I suppose, for some of these characters. So, and I know, Jamie, you mentioned that you wish you get to see them all a little bit more. I don't want to see them at all. I hope they all die terribly, and that's
God.
that's what I'm expecting for the rest of the season.
I
But
like I said,
they're going to play into it. They're so going to
yeah.
play into it. They're setting them up for us to, oh, that's this character that talks like this or feels this way about it. Like, yeah, it's good. I hope it pays out in the end, really,
Mm.
because then
Mm.
it'll be good for you to rally around something.
Yeah.
But to see Ellie and her change was also great, because I kind of got annoyed by her, I guess, teenage angst. Like, I get it, but yeah, we'll see how. We will see how crazy she's going to get now, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Mm. So they did actually remove something from this scene, and that was when Manny spits on Joel as
Mm.
well. So I liked that they removed that because that was dirty. um so yeah, did we think this, I think we already touched on it. Did we think this scene was impactful as the video game? It is a bit hard because like we knew it was coming, whereas when we first played the video game, some people knew it was coming, but like we didn't know to what extent it would be or how early in the game. I know there was heaps of rumors, but yeah, I don't think anyone really knew at what point in the game we were going to lose Joel before The Last of Us Part 2 came out.
Mm.
So, Berto, did you think this was more impactful or about the same or less?
Ooh, more or the same or less? It's hard because, like, when you played the game, I tried to go in blind, and it spoiled to me. I think the day before I got to that section, anyway.
Mm,
But now, being fully aware, I think it's almost just a little bit less than the game. But like I said to you, how I've just communicated it now, the feelings that I've had came back really quickly. That
mm,
anger, that at furious nature of, like, oh man, I wish I could play just to kill you, all those characters, because this isn't what I wanted. This isn't how it
mm,
was meant to go, but it is the way that it is. I think it gets to the point. I think the death of, being stabbed simply, just, direct, short, sharp. I
after
think
being punched in the face 100
after being,
times.
but that's the thing. Like, she's so angry, and, like, I think you mentioned it before about Abby's character, Brad. I think you said, like, a lot of people like her in this more than the game. I love her more than this in the game. I still hate her just as equally, but I like her more in this because she's so just vicious on another level, and I think she's portraying it so well.
Mm,
So I don't know. I think it's powerful, just a little bit less than the game, because obviously the game dealt, like, it hurt me a lot more. And obviously, like you say, it's harder to kind of reconcile it because you're revisiting it, right? It's not brand new. But if it was fresh, because my wife doesn't play games, and she said to me, if she never watched me play,
mm.
she would be so angry. And I said, yeah, that's how I felt, you know, like. I get
Mm.
it, but I guess I'd have to find out. We need to talk to someone who's never played the game, which is really, really, really hard.
So I've watched a few reaction videos on YouTube
Same.
this past few days, and
There
yeah,
you go.
you can definitely tell the people who have played the game from the ones who haven't. But all the same, like it still affects some people that have played the game. I teared up. Um, I even started tearing up again when I was getting the screenshots for this spoiler cast. So it was. I don't think it's ever easy. It's like the start of The Last of Us, like watching Sarah die. Like that's never easy either. So yeah, no matter how many times I watch it, I know it's gonna be still impactful each time. Definitely not as much as the first time, but yeah, it's still probably one of the hugest and impactful moments in video game history, I would say. Jamie, how
Yeah.
did you feel about the scene overall?
Firstly, it's a great question. Was it less, more impactful? I would say just different. Let's just say that, because the first time
Mm,
going through, you know what I mean. Like, I had seen a random comment like the day beforehand in a YouTube section saying that this occurred before I'd actually got to it myself. But I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. I just sort of put it out of my mind. But like being that interactive form of storytelling, you're like, oh, is it going to be a QTE or something? Is there going to be a way that you're going to get out of this? And then when you find out you just can't do anything,
mm,
it makes it sort of, because of that interactive form, it's a little bit more powerful. But then the fact that it's brutal in the fact that it's real actors and you're seeing it in that real life situation, it just hits a little bit different. So I think different in terms of impact is what I would say. Probably that first time, like watching it completely, like in the game, I put the controller down for like 20 to like 30 minutes afterwards, because it was just like, man, they did it. I remember the missus was sleeping and I like put the controller down. I'm like, I need a break. Um, but I think it's done really well. And like with Abby, like her humanity's out the door at this point. Like you see the
mm.
viciousness of the blows that she's taken to Joel, and she's seeing what she doesn't know at that point. That could be his daughter. Like, you know what I mean? Bawling her eyes out, begging her not to do it. And she had a choice right there. Do I not allow someone to feel the exact same thing I'm feeling by losing either a parent or a parent like figure? But she chooses to end it and to just kill him in front of her, regardless of it. And it shows that at that stage, like her humanity's out the door. Like we don't see that come back until she starts taking care of Lev, because she's still not
Yeah.
that great of a person due to what Joel did in those
Mm,
early few hours when we take control of her in the second half of the game. It's not until she
mm,
starts taking care of someone of herself that she gets her humanity back. So I think seeing her just viciously pound away at him and then making that choice to actively make the kill in front of this young girl who is not too similar to like age wise to when she saw her dad die, and to still make that choice, it's just brutal. And like I said, in terms of impact, it's just slightly different. But if I had just seen this with no knowledge of the game, I probably would have like got that rage, exactly like Birdo was saying.
yeah. And I think we have to take a moment and actually really appreciate how well Caitlin Diva actually portrayed Abby in this scene as well. Like you could you could sense the rage within Abby. Like it was, I don't know, like obviously like the Abby in the game is like more, I guess, intimidating, like with her muscles and everything. But I don't know, she just emulated what I thought Abby, who I think Abby is, just perfectly. I truly think she is going to be the MVP of this season. Like everything I've seen her do as Abby, brilliant, top notch. Like
Yeah, I agree.
no notes, no notes.
Yeah, when she threatened to smash Dina's head in, like regardless, there's just rawness that she had in that. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't care about what the hell I told you before. He's here now, and we're doing this, and I will do whatever it takes to get the revenge I want. I don't care who's here watching. This is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So after the scene, Ellie has like crawled over to Joel and like kind of hugged him. And as it pans out, a song sung by Ashley Johnson, Ellie's voice actor in the video games, plays. And we kind of get like a montage of like what the aftermath is a little bit. So we see Tommy crying into Maria's arms in Jackson. And then Ellie, Dina, and Jesse are towing Joel's body back to Jackson before we hit credits. Yeah. So very powerful way to end. Like, I'm so excited to get into the next episode. It's gonna be great to see. I think there's gonna be some really powerful acting in the next episode too, because I think grief is like one of the probably trickiest emotions to capture. Not that I'm an actor or anything, but I would think that that would be like one of the trickiest emotions to capture as an actor. And obviously, there'll be quite a lot of people grieving in the next episode, which also includes like obviously sadness and anger, and probably helplessness too, because like Dina and Ellie were both at the lodge when Joel died. So it's gonna be interesting. Do you guys have any further thoughts on this episode or how things are going? What any predictions for next week, Jamie?
I love the addition of getting Ashley Johnson to hear the voice of Ellie from the game start singing. And I've heard her singing that track before. I think there's a live action video, I think, where it's her and Troy Baker singing it in character with the voices. That was the point where I like welled up because that was like so powerful and well done. I loved how they did that. It's hard for me to predict because, like I said, I've already seen the trailer of where they're heading. Obviously, you only get 60 seconds, but it looks like we get a little bit of aftermath, and hopefully, we get some more explanations, as Berta was saying about the state of Jackson. There was a cool little shot in that trailer showcasing that we'll probably see how much damage was actually done in the end and who's left. But yeah, looks like we'll probably be out on the road as of by the end of the next episode. Um, it's gonna be really interesting to see all the fallout. Like maybe we may even end up getting a scene with like Ellie talking to the therapist or something beforehand. I
True.
think there's
Yeah.
a clip where she's like training or like doing a boxing bag or something with like Jesse. So who knows if there's going to be like a time jump because she looked like she got brutally kicked in this one. Like in the game, she sort of it's like that night and she's like fine again, but like here she got like almost caved in her chest when she was booted by I think Manny at the end there.
Yeah.
So who knows, it'll be a little time jump I guess. But yeah, I think if we're going to get the scene where she's near his grave and everything, it's going to be a tough watch. Lots of tears I think from a lot of characters next episode.
Yeah. Beto, what about you?
I'm trying not to die by coughing out here. I just think, well, this is the most important point, right? So, like, we touched on it a little bit, but this is where the fandom splits completely from those that accept what's going to happen and then everyone else, which is the anger. Because this is where I also start to go, okay, I want my revenge. And we all know exactly that doesn't really happen. But I would like to see how they navigate this through the people that normally regular view this. Like, how are they going to sell Abby now, right? So a beloved character is dead, killed violently. Will like enjoyed killing him. Like, spin it, sell it back to me now. So I'm interested to see how the show does this because I think the game didn't do a great approach to it, although I did appreciate how it tried to. That's what I'm looking forward to the most in the next few episodes, seasons, and we'll see how that goes. Where to go to next? I obviously, yeah, they're on the road now, so I expect the beginning to be very, thinking about Joel, the memories, trying to, really reinforce that relationship, and then let's go. Let's get the show on the road. And I think the next few episodes are just going to be go, 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 because they're going to have to be. We're already, what, 5 more left? So,
Yeah, they got to get going.
mm,
One last thing I just want to touch on. I had seen a few people online with the take of like, hearing people have this discussion again of like the way she killed Joel and everything like that. Like I had seen people just say, oh, she didn't have to torture him and all this sort of stuff. Um, let's keep in mind, if we ever deep dive into The Last of Us, either part 1 or part 2, like Joel was torturing people in the first part of the game. He was torturing 2 people to find the location of Ellie. So torture's not out of his wheelhouse to do himself. He also, as I said, they killed about, 16 or 18 people, including an unarmed surgeon who was just doing his job to try and save humanity. So again, it's always, we've touched on it on the show, and when we've discussed this game in general, the grayness of everything. Like, we don't know what Joel did before he met up with Ellie. Like he said, he's been on both sides. You know what I mean? When we saw that guy faking he was injured to get the jump on Ellie and Joel. So
Yeah.
I've seen some of the people do that take of like, it was how the death occurred. But it's like, say, this is not like, if Ellie had died, I could 100% see Joel torturing whoever had done it. So
Oh,
once
yeah.
again, it's like seeing the perspectives. And I think that's what, Druckmann tried to do in the game, is trying to see the perspectives. And that, but as Berto said, I don't think they 100% were able to give you Abby's perspective in a way that you could understand without that feeling of hate and revenge yourself. So it'd be interesting how they piece it together along the way to just see if they can do it a little bit more effective than the game. But yeah, Joel's not great either. There's a lot of gray in this whole world.
No. I think I mentioned this on our main podcast. Like if they went like we're gonna have like 2 timelines going at the same time rather than Ellie's playing out and then Abby's playing out, because that doesn't make sense for a TV show. So, and like if they did that, like we probably wouldn't see Abby for the rest of the season. So like it doesn't make sense for that to happen as it did in the video game. So it is going to be very interesting that not so much that we'll spend more time with Abby, but it's going to be less of a gap where we don't see her as we did in the game. Like it was, we were Ellie from when Joel died, we were probably Ellie for, I would say, 10
So
hours.
12 to 14 hours.
Yeah,
It's quite a
yeah.
long stretch.
It is
Yeah.
a very long time. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach that in terms of storytelling, because I think this is the like fork in the road where it does get a little bit different to the games, with how they tell the story itself. So I think that's definitely going to be interesting to watch.
that's a good call out. Because it would be hilarious if they actually do stick to the way that the games are.
I hope
And
they
the
Then
rest
see
do.
her
is
again
just
this
Ellie.
season. Yeah,
That would be
crazy.
hilarious.
Yeah, who knows what they could do. Yeah.
Yeah, because Historian 2 jumps around so much, and then you got the flashbacks that they're going to also implement, which I think the flashbacks would be are fantastic for like openers to the episode, sort of set the tone of each little tale that you're going to tell within the episode. So you got the museum one, you've got him and her, Joel and Ellie talking about the hospital and her finding out. Like that's definitely going to be there at some point as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be very interesting how they navigate the sort of convoluted time period jumps that they have in that part 2 game.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll definitely be interesting to see how they tackle it. And that marks the end of our The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, Through the Valley Spoilercast. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and leave a 5-star review on the audio streaming service of your choice so you can get the latest content straight to your feed. I've been your host, Brad, and you can find me everywhere at Brad_EXP or on Blue Sky, Brad Goodwin. Joining me today has been Jamie.
You can find me on social media, JamieX66.
And Berto.
You can find me on Instagram as pause_gamer.
Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week when we discuss episode 3. Bye.